This sucks. Japan studio, the Sony stalwart of Japanese game developments is effectively being closed down. Like they kind of massaged the messaging a little bit to say that Asobi Studio, the developer of Astro's Playroom and the Astrobot Rescue Mission for PlayStation VR, is going to stay open. In fact, they like the messaging is like, oh, we are reorganizing Japan Studio around Asobi Studio. But the reporting out of Japan is that the vast majority, according to Video Games Chronicle, of Japan Studios developers have been laid off. And that's kind of that, I guess. And
I think that the thing we discovered, we were talking about this on the hotspot last week, was, when you get into it, just the number of external developers that worked on those games.
Yeah.
The Japan Studio was the kind of a blanket term for a lot of games that got developed elsewhere.
Right.
Like
Yes.
They were kind of managing the managing external partners for working on those games.
It's like a very small. It's like dozens of games since the very beginning of the PlayStation brand, and it's like a tiny minority of them that were only made by quote unquote Japan Studio. Almost all of them have some kind of co-developer listed, but still, like that logo has been on like countless of the like there's a Japan Studio logo on the front of Bloodborne,
Right. Yeah.
And Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah.
Like, basically the bookends of the PlayStation, canon or whatever, like that.
Jumping Flash,
man.
Goes all the way back to launch.
Yeah, like they
Gravity
were
Rush was, I think one of the handful that they did on their own, right? Ape Escape and stuff like that. But
Ape Escape,
development has changed, and Sony does that type of work worldwide now, where like, hey, we've got people here that manage external partners and all that sort of stuff. So they probably just don't need those people to exclusively be in Japan. They just need a worldwide teams that are focusing on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so reading up on this development made me realize how much of a reorg and like a change of regime this PlayStation Studios thing must have been. Like, it seems like it was much more than just a rebranding of their internal development. Like, it was very much a kind of like movement of the power center of.
When you put Jim Ryan in charge and all that, like, yes, definitely they have made changes.
Yes. The Video Games Chronicle story basically says that there was kind of the core disagreements was that the management of Japan Studio wanted to make kind of Japan first games that would also have global appeal. This sounds like really splitting hairs, and the global management wanted them to make games with global appeal that might also sell in Japan. Like, it sounds like a minor distinction, but I think,
Dead Rising 1 and Dead Rising 4.
Okay, sure. That's not the worst way to look at it. Yeah.
No, that is maybe the worst way to look at it.
Well, I mean, yeah. It's not an ideal outcome, but I don't know, man. Like, quirky is just the kind of the word that comes to mind for a lot of the stuff that came out of that studio, and it's sad to lose that out of such a major, developer / platform holder.
Yeah, but they were never going to make that style of stuff again, and a lot of that work came from those external teams. That was Nanansha and some, what Sugar and Rockets or whatever. Like, it was just like all those other teams made a lot of really crazy, quirky stuff, and Japan Studio shepherded it and made sure it got through and got out. But that's just not where that doesn't seem like where the video game business is anymore, and that's sad in a lot of ways. But also, like, what has Japan Studio even done late? Like, it's like Bloodborne. Like, at some point, like
Gravity Rush.
That's the one of the better examples of like, hey, here's a thing with global appeal, Bloodborne. And then you've got Gravity Rush, a game that certainly has its fans, but I would put that in the category of, like, if they were going to try to make games that were Japan first, but hopefully had a global appeal, maybe you end up with more Gravity Rushes, and that's not going to move needles the way that they are trying to move needles. So I don't know.
Yes,
like, I get it. It's stupid, but I look at it and go like,
I get it. Yes. From a raw ass business standpoint, you're not wrong. But I guess that studio had been losing some staff in the last year or two already. That was kind of not super well known. Like the producer of Bloodborne left very recently. Last year, several of the head Gravity Rush developers left to start their own studio. So, like, those developers hopefully will get out there and keep doing their thing. But
I wonder how many people it was, because even Asobi is not that big. Like, Asobi's like, I think it's like 20 to 30 folks or something.
Yeah, that would make sense, because both of those Astro games are like bite size. They're not huge projects by any means.